All right, we have in the studio Jonathan Onoja and Steve Nwokori, both a security analyst and experts. Gentlemen, glad to have you join me in the studio to discuss these issues. Let's begin with, we're talking here about Bokkos in Plateau. We're talking about, the 16 hunters in Edo happened some weeks or months ago. And then we're also talking about the destruction of the Secretariat in Benue State. Why always Bokkos? 2023, 2024, now 2025, 52 persons killed. How come the security agencies are not on top of this, Steve?
Yeah, thank you for having me. Let me start by saying that crime is an integral part of our society. What that means is that a society without crime is impossible, right? Now, going further, when we have members of a society, citizens of a country, right, that are supposed to be committed to collective sentiments, shared values, right, moral beliefs of the society, of the government and all that, it is not expected that everybody must comply. At some point, you must have certain persons within the society that will deviate, right? Having established this...
What you call deviance.
Deviance, exactly. Now, having established this, what is expected of our government? What is expected of our security agencies? What is expected of our community leaders? What is expected of our traditional leaders? What is expected of our religious leaders? All these are stakeholders, critical stakeholders that we expect that they should do what they need to do. All the sectors, all the stakeholders I've mentioned here, they have one role or the other to play. What is expected of them when we have a situation where we see where there must be deviance in our society, right? A lot comes to play, right? Now, a lot of us, as in citizens of this country, don't obey the law, right? The law is there, the law is meant for man, but we don't obey the law, we don't even comply with the law, And as a result of that, we also see reasons where peer influence, a lot of youths go into crime, what happens to our value system, right? Our traditional leaders, before now, we used to see them point at their subjects that have questionable characters, that indulge in one form of crime or the other. Before now, when you go to certain communities, they will point at a youth within the community that steals gold, for instance, that has graduated from stealing of gold to another thing, more bigger than stealing of gold, right? But right now, they don't even come out to say, these are subjects are involved in this, these are subjects are involved in that. They try to see how to shield them. And we can't get it right when we try to shield them, right? Now, the police, the other law enforcement agents are not ghosts to be found in every community that we have in this country. Now, there must be a collaboration between members of these communities, our traditional rulers, the religious leaders, and all that. There must be that synergy. Now, would we have that synergy? The question is, no, there's no synergy. Because I think that there's no synergy because some of these traditional rulers or religious leaders, they have become so scared in the event where they mention or point at some of the perpetrators of this crime in their society. What happens to them? Do we have the confidentiality of informants when it has to do with cases reported to the police? How well do police protect informants, right? A whole lot is not just working out. I think at this point, there's need for the government to see how to go back to the drawing board. The best time, according to a Chinese proverb, to plant a tree is 20 years ago. Another best time is now. Where have we been missing it? Where did we miss it? Where have we been experiencing gap when it has to do with security in our land? And I think that at that point, we can begin to see how to channel a course.
You're asking a question, I'll have you answer later. Because, what we're discussing is to get answers to this issue. So you're asking a question, I'll have you answer as a security expert or analyst. Jonathan,
thank you.
The point of why Bokkos, Steve did particularly address that. He talked holistically. The stakeholders, which I will come to, but why Bokkos? 23, 24, 25, the same community. Why? And nothing. I'm going to come to the point of, are we not learning lessons?
It is about the vulnerability in the society. When you mentioned Bokkos, it happened in 2023, 2024,
Yeah.
and 2025.
Yeah.
In 2023, it happened. What measures has been taken to forestall further attacks? These are questions in the mind of so many people. Because attacking your arsenals is not just about targeting the general. It's about pointing back to the general that once your brigades can be attacked, you also can be attacked. They are looking at how vulnerable Bokkos is, because that is where the center of all of this is happening from. If Bokkos has reshaped, or a formations of the force has changed in that locality, or they have leverage on the use of technology as tracking suspects, bringing them to books, they may have shifted their attacks lengths from that area to another. But it is because what has been missing is still missing. And that's why Bokkos has been at the center of it. Not to forget, there could also be these long-time conflicts of interest in Bokkos as to where they domicile. And we talk about land grabbing, where people want to actually occupy a place that does not actually belongs to them. And so that has also been a major factor that has led to these fights in Bokkos over the years. And the government seems not to be doing anything about it. The Reconciliatory Committee or Peace Committee that have been recognized, nationwide as one of the ways to see a possibility of avoiding recurrence of issues like this. Because if there's a dispute and you have identified those behind it, then you have gotten some set of solutions. The moment you get to know those that are behind a particular attack, it gives you some sense of understanding what could be the problem. So we expected the government to have set this committee and then mediate between these communities and those that are suspected to be behind these attacks. But that over the years has not been done. What happened is, over the years, it happens, a 1 minute silence happens, and then the usual visit to the communities, perhaps to the victims' families, and it ends there. You will never see any security presence there. There will be no change of strategies. There are no formations. There are no compensations. And there is no appeal to either offenders or to those that feel offended. These issues has been the lingering issues that has affected the fabrics of Bokkos. So if we are going to talk about issues, peace, or the solutions to what is happening in Bokkos today, first, the government needs to identify the problems.
All right, good. You have actually led me to, I'm moving from a question I wanted to ask to this now. Steve, should not the governments, both at the state and the federal, be looking at getting to the root cause of this problem, and maybe bringing the warring parties and communities, you talked about several stakeholders, the local leaders, to a roundtable discussion regarding peace and living together?
Yes. You see, when it had to do with what is contained in the Constitution, Section 14(2)b talks about security and welfare of citizens. Now, we're not even talking about the welfare yet. What we're talking about is security of the citizens. Now, security of citizens is not entirely the responsibility of the federal government. The state also has...
I called state.
Yes, yeah, I'm aligning with you.
Yeah.
The state, but sometimes you see state governors try to shift the blame to the federal, try to put themselves in a defensive position, right? And I want to make that point clear that they also have responsibilities.
They're called the chief security officers of the state.
Yes. And we also have local government chairmen that are also chief security officers of their local government.
Then you have chiefs.
Yes. Do we have a functional third tier of government? The answer is no. So it means that when it has to do with the fight against insecurity at the local level, at this local level, we have more rural communities, right? And we lack the security presence in these rural communities. The local government chairmen are just there idle because they don't have the resources to work with. If a federal government can call federal executive state security meeting, the state governors can also call security meetings within their state. the local government chairman should also call security meetings at that local level. How many of them have the capacity to call local government security council meeting, where the local structure, right, the rural people that are there, that are confronted with insecurity issues without the presence of conventional security agents, how well are they functioning at that level? Now, the governors of state have killed the activities of local government, whether we like it or not. We don't have functional local government chairmen.
Because of time.
Yes.
Jonathan, Amnesty says the spate of killings, or insecurity generally, because we're talking about Edo. I mean, there's Edo State. Then now, currently, recently, you have Benue, the burning of Secretariat and all that. And then you have 52 people killed in Plateau State. Amnesty says the spate of killings was evidence of the failure of authorities to protect the people and are asking government, both federal and state, to end the bloodshed. Now, not only in North Central, across the states, across the entire country.
It clearly shows the failures of government. That means that the government has failed the citizenry. One of the responsibility, like Steve mentioned, is, number one, the protections of lives. We have not even said the properties yet, or the welfare of the people. Section 16, subsection 2 of the 1991 Constitution as amended made this expressly known to the people, that this is what belongs to the people. And so when you are vying for elective positions, you should know that you should have capacity to be able to deliver these dividends of democracy. Unfortunately, the government fails. We're not talking about the social responsibilities of all of that. We're just talking about, provide security. Most of these governors comes to Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory, to take the security votes back to the local government, back to the state. Did they actually utilize this security vote for the purpose of security? The answer is no. And that's why over time I've called the EFCC to begin to look into the utilizations of security votes in all the states.
They're not. I think the law does not even. I don't think you.
Because of what they then call. Oh no, because he's a governor, he has this immunity. You can't begin to investigate now, or you can prosecute. But then they should, because look, we said they don't have that right to prosecute. But we've seen governors at a point once they move from party A to party B. You will see, despite that, they're still governors. That immunity does not affect. It depends on the body language of the CNC, the chief in command of the armed forces, whether he's in tune with it or not. You see that the EFCC or the police goes after him. We have seen all of that play that. So party politics has also affected greatly in issues of security progression in our country.
Steve,
Yes.
what's your sense of? We have little time. Your sense of the statement from the governor, Mutwang. He says his government remains committed to ensuring the safety of Plateau residents. I mean, these are the kind of statements at the federal level, at the state level, we'll get to hear the leaders make after the fact.
Exactly.
What's your sense of that statement?
Yes, I want to believe that we should see such statements backed with action, right? Those statements should not just be mere statements coming from our political leaders when these incidents occur, right? Now, most of the things that governors put in place, or the federal government, how well do they even implement these measures? How well do they even sustain the measure? I think these are key issues that we are missing. Implementation of policies, of measures that are supposed to improve on our security, right? We just put these as recommendations in paper. How well do they even implement them?
Okay,
how long do they even sustain these policies and measures?
We have to end it there, but just to drop a yes or no because of time, a former lawmaker is calling for state police. Will that change the narrative or answer?
State police, it's also a good one, but at the moment, is Nigeria or the people ready for state policing?
Steve.
The question you answered, is multidimensional. The question you've asked is multidimensional.
So you can
so if you answer a yes, you need to give a backing to why this yes.
Absolutely.
And if you say no, you need to also give some reasons why
Okay,
the no questions cannot be.
So we don't have the time.
So,
But then, on the last note, I want to say that, like the case on Benue, which was not actually discussed, the governor has paid visits to all of these people. From 2023, 2,600 people killed. 2024, all of this happening. 2025, Barrister Mark Opiku down in the local government killed. Few days ago, another happened in Ikobi. Another one also is happening in Asa too. All of these things cumulating to what we have anarchy. Yes. If the governors failed in its responsibility to protect lives and property, you would tell me that this same governor have the capacity to begin to go for campaign in 2027.
All right,
Jonathan, so it is about the priority.
Jonathan,
it is about the priority.
Very fantastic point.
Quite unfortunate.
Time is for us, not against us. We always say time is
against us. Thank you so much.
Jonathan Onoja, security analyst and expert. Dr. Steve Nwokori, the same. Thank you, gentlemen, for being on news.